Welcome to the Grand Design Series for Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. We're picking up on the 5th of June 2014, which is roughly 2 years on from the end of the last part. The game's on pause for a reason, which I'll explain in a little while. But just to give you a quick top-level report of what's been happening over the last 2 years, the first year up went reasonably well. I had a couple of minor glitches, which I'll talk about. But 2013... turned into quite a disaster, and I can show you here. The population is down to 147,000, and if I come over to the population here, and if we go back, there we are, go back a year, you can see the massive population drop off there from just under, well, you can say it was about 155,000. And it dropped right down to 142,000. So this 147,000 is the fact that I've managed to rebuild the population. And if I show you the food chart, you can probably see the reason why. You can see that if I compare it, happiness there drops down, the population dropped down, the happiness crashed down to an average of 64%, and it's quite important that you understand that that's an average, because what you can have almost catastrophic failure in a fairly large part of your economy, and this will only drop down to 64% if the rest are holding up. And then if I show you the health crashed as well, and of course the loyalty crashed from an average of 74%, and it's down to about 73%. Now you could say, oh, that's just 1%, but again, it's a representative average of the whole economy. So to lose 1% of loyalty across an economy this big means that in some areas the loyalty has dropped down to a lot lower than that. In fact, if you go down here, you can see this, the average loyalty went from, well, if you come, what's it, this one? Yeah, you can see there. You can see that alcohol was okay, culture, sports, employment, religion, clothes was things. So the big factor that caused the disaster is food. Now, it wasn't down to any shortage of production. It was down, one, to my weakness of design, and two, well, basically it's my own fault. But so what I'm going to do now is give you kind of a potted view of what actually happened and why, and probably more importantly, why it happened. But first, I just want to show you this, which is a little bit of a cause for concern. That at the moment, for some reason with this aggregate loading, the trains come in on this, let's just speed up because I don't want to linger here too long. Trains come in here, you can see, but when they get to here, they flip onto this line and then go back out. See where it's actually just kind of flipping back again. So there's something going on here, but I can't see what's going on that well. And of course you can see it's caused an absolute mayhem with this road junction here. Now I just want to talk about the reason why I got into a bit of a disaster by showing this. If again we'll just let everything run slowly, you'll see that there's all sorts of trains backed up here. And I think this is my Achilles heel. In fact, it's pretty awful design, because you can see, well, if I speed up, it probably looks a bit more effective. You can see that these trains are waiting, and all you need is one long train like this, which is having to come in here to back up across one of these junctions, and then the whole lot snarls up. You can see here, if you watch this train, you can see that just fits in there. And you can see this moves through this line here, blocks this one up. If I pause now, see that this train is literally completely filling up this block. And if I kind of show you here, you can see that that block is actually running there. I'm kind of thinking if I put a chain signal, what I've been trying to do is experiment with different combinations of train signal to see if I can actually solve this problem. But to be honest, I don't think I can. And of course, if I come out here, now bear in mind that this is not that far above normal traffic. And you can see if I kind of show you the trains here, we've got a food train here going to our settlement. Now, I want to emphasize that at the moment I'm still kind of trying to sort out this problem. And you can see we got train here, closed train, chemicals coming in here. We got electronics, and what we got coming in here, electronics. So at the moment we've got lots of flow of electronics, and if I show you here, we don't actually have a shortage of anything in this area, well, beyond electronics, but that's electro components, but that's another story, although I think that's now been fixed. So that is the reason for that big failure, but I will talk about the actual trigger for that. But first, we're going to go back in time to the first year after the end of the last video. It was a fairly uneventful year, beyond the fact that if I can find Stilton in this increasingly get larger map, let me just see if I can find Stilton. I had an interesting disaster here in Stilton, and what happened here is I had quite a major earthquake, and it was a targeted earthquake in the sense that it destroyed this cinema, and also I think it was this tower block collapsed, and then of course I had fairly substantial damage all the way around. So what I had to do, because of course we had to clear the sites, so I had to build another cinema over here to fill the gap while this was being cleared, ready for the to be rebuilt. And of course we lost a little bit of population there. So that was the first kind of problem that developed in the first year after the end of the video. The second problem, I think, was more one of contagion, and that is that this town up here developed a crime problem. If I show you the overlay for crime, I know I'm aware that you won't be able to see it very well. You see, we got 10% crime in this area, and I got a feeling it was contagion spreading over from here. So what I had to do was squeeze in some small police stations. I'd built these Tudor police stations, and I had to put in a little bit of extra population because this town, and I hadn't realised I had actually had 0 unemployment, and so I had to squeeze in another 300 workers up here. And luckily I caught it relatively early, but I had to build 2 of these Tudor police stations to deal with the actual situation here. So that went there. Now, as time rolled on, I'll talk about the reason why everything went wrong. And of course, if you watch the previous video, you'll be aware that I started designing this area here. In fact, I designed this area here, which is still in the process of being built. Sorry, not building. What am I on about? But what I did, because obviously this series is coming to the end and I wanted to push it, I started sending all the helicopter construction crews out here to build the roads, to build the structures. I also roped in these construction offices over here. Let me just clear the crime overlay. So basically I was really pushing the game hard to do the building, especially this new town, because I thought if I could get the town up and running, I could use up the over 21s, because I've got a feeling that the over 21s are the ones who actually spread crime. I do need to check it, but I need to get some over 21s back, because at the moment we're still trying to recover our population. And so what I was doing was really pushing hard to get this town built up. And you can see, and the thing is, it takes a lot of steel. What happened is, because I was pressing so hard, I put pressure on my steel mill here. And you can see it's not recovered, which in turn drained my coal reserves. And of course, what we got over here is that thing. You can see the coal trains are coming in here all the time. That is really starting to irritate me. I think I might break the rule of realistic mode and actually see if I can redo these tracks, but I'll do that off camera. I'll think about it. So what happened is I had more longer trains coming in. You can see they're coming in almost regularly now to grab the coal from here. And of course, the other thing during the first year, because most of my main kind of helicopters work from here, they were draining out all this. They drained all the steel out of here, which caused a little bit of problem. Oh yeah, there's something else I want to talk about, and this is quite important, especially if when you're working with repair base offices. What it's this one here. What actually happened here was this repair station, I gave it workers, I gave it actual trucks, but what I didn't give it was supplies. And what I had is the bus route that runs down to here to drive the asphalt and concrete. The buses got to the point where they started breaking down. You can see them here. And if you actually see this here, you can see this bus is only well, it's 20 years old now, but these went up to 80-90%. And what they did was is they actually went in here to be repaired, and what that did was that stopped the supply of asphalt and concrete, which then spun onto another problem. So I had to very quickly get in resources. So top tip here, if you are building repair bays, make sure they're operational, otherwise they can disrupt your overall supplies. Anyway, back to what happened was I started pushing the steel mill. The steel started to run low, and at the end of the first year, what happened was that the steel flowing up to here disappeared, and you can see even at the moment it's a little bit shaky, and what that resulted in is these shutting down because they didn't have steel. So this is how the chain reaction actually works, and that meant I started to run out of electronics. So what I had to do in the end was resort to buying another ship here, which is partly why I didn't have any money. And what I've got here is a ship now that brings in electronics and steel, and you can as a backup. But the main reason it is it's bringing in electronics. Technically, I don't need it at the moment, but I'm leaving it here just to be on the safe side because I need this flow of electronics and to keep the whole process working. So that is the end of the first year. Now, on a positive side, this area is working really well. Thank goodness. Now, that may seem a bit strange to say that, but this is the area that saved me. Even though I lost over nearly 15,000 population, if I hadn't had this area, things would have been a lot worse. So we've now covered the build up for what happened when we went into 2013. Now the first couple of months were okay. They ran exactly the same as 2012, and I don't know if it actually, you can pick up the exact date. If we come into here, we go back a year again, go back a year, you can see the problems actually started on the, I think it's that the 11th of the 1st. So do they use American dates, or is that the 1st of the 11th? No, it can't be the 1st of the 11th. It must be the 1st, yeah, the 2nd of the 9th. Yeah, so they use American dates. So the problems started around the 11th of, what's that, January, February, March, April. 11th of April 2013. And it started on exactly what I was talking about here. I come back to here, in this area here. What happened is this started to get more and more congested, because you've got to remember there's more and more trains running through this area waiting to pick up stuff. What are you? Yeah, you've got an aggregate train running through here as well now. Oh, what? Why are you where are you going? wasn't aware that. Oh, you deliver the aggregate up to here. But what happened is we had more of these coal trains coming in here, picking up the coal. And of course, more importantly, we had the long steel trains coming in here as well to try and keep everything supplied. And what you're getting also is these long trains coming in. So what happened was this area started to snarl up. Now, so what actually happened was is this area started to snarl up, and it's worth noting that I was also being a little bit lapsadaisical because, of course, running the game and when you're not really having to do anything, what I was doing was I was wandering off for 10, 15 or more minutes to do other things, and I just let the game run because the run in because I was getting a little bit overconfident with my stability of my economy, which kind of didn't exactly help the overall situation. And then the few times I was back kind of looking at the tracking the game, the focus was very much on here because I was trying to push this area here. This is a really flawed kind of area here. Yeah, this probably wasn't one of my better ideas either. I probably need that built. Let me just put Stilton on that. Get that built as well. Link out. Anyway, so I was very much focused on trying to push this area, especially as I had a fire. So what I tried to do is get the fire station out here with the power to kind of prevent the buildings burning down as well. So I was totally focused. So I was either not paying attention at all, or I was actually totally focused on this area. So I wasn't really paying attention to the thing. Oh, while we're here, as usual, this has just reminded me, as usual, a big thank you for your comments and feedback. Now, I did get a comment from Vimes about this biological pollution, and it seems to have affected a few of mine. Not all of them, because, and what seems to happen is when these get polluted, like these ones here, these don't seem to decay just as fast as what they should have done. So what I'm gonna try and do, yeah, I was thinking about this, then I forgot about it. I think these guys are just picking up. What I'm going to do is see if I can get you to pick up here, mix waste, see if you actually do it. And so special shout out to Vimes and the internal testers, because it seems that there's been quite a lot of work been going on about this problem. I'm not sure if that will work. Let me just see, because I think the problem is that these don't recognize. Yeah, oh no, I think they go, yeah, let me just follow those just out of curiosity, because I think what we got to do is actually kind of empty these out. That's medium surplus steel. I think what we're going to do is remove you for the moment, and we're just going to empty this one out. It won't take long. Anyway, so back to the story of disaster, and it is a story of disaster, to be honest. What happened was this area got even more congested than it is now, and more importantly, what started to happen is we started to get a permanent block. See, at the moment, you can see it's just teetering on the edge, and eventually what happened is this started to block up completely, and this is the reason for the food shortage. You can see it's already starting to develop here, and all you need now is for one of these long trains to get stuck across a key junction, and the key junctions are just here. This is, again, if I switch on the signals, this one here, and more importantly, there's one here which isn't quite so bad, and then there's another one just here. So this is the area. You can see it's a kind of double junction thingy here, which is going, and you can see we've got the beginnings of a little bit of a problem here, because these trains are coming down, and then what this one does is it blocks this one going up that way. It says train waiting too long. Oh, it's okay. So what I'm having to do is really pay strict attention to these messages. And of course, there is a consequence. Why? I'm not exactly sure. Why are you... This keeps on... Actually, I think what we'll do... I'm just going to put you there. Or was the... I think part of the problem is that the trains are... Yeah, we've got the two trains working here on this long line. Let's get you to ignore the signal. Actually, if we put a signal there, yeah, and then you should go into there, turn around, go back the other way, and do it. Anyway, so what happened is that got congested, and of course it goes without saying that the food supply turned off. Now comes the interesting thing with relation to the percentages, and returning to my comment about the fact of if I hadn't had the new food supply at the top, because I'll draw the map up as large as I can because I need to talk about this. What actually happened, and this is what makes the losses far more significant. And because I wasn't paying attention, they got a lot worse than what they should have been. Now you can divide this map into 3 areas. If I kind of draw from the bottom left-hand corner across above where we got the red and blue border, this area here wasn't affected by the disaster. So my original area down here where the food production was, my original towns, and through here was not actually affected by the disaster itself. And of course, because I built the new food and clothes supply area up here, the top part of the map, so if I draw a line, say up, oops, not from there, up through here following this border, this area wasn't affected. The area that was affected was this band of major cities, and I'm going to, of course, emphasize the major cities because what we've got here is Logistica, which is here, which because these are the cities that draw our food, and of course this is the one that produces the vehicles, which is crucial but not that crucial. Then of course, more importantly, I never remember what this place is called, Novaya or Navavonia. This is the key one that started to collapse. And then of course the one which was secondary was this area here, which actually produces our oil, and of course Stilton. So we had Stilton, this one here, Logistica, this one. So these 4 cities were the ones that lost their food supply. Luckily, Wasteby up here was drawing its food from the top of the map. So basically, and this is what made the collapse so scary, was the fact that the area's running out of food with the crushing kind of happiness. You can see here the difference. This has still only got its happiness back to 70%. This one's 69%. So the happiness in these central towns were dropped down below 60%. In fact, 1 or 2 places it was down to about 50%. So even though, again, if I return to here and show you the average happiness, again, we'll have to go back a year. If you see the average happiness drop down 64%, it actually dropped a lot lower in the key areas there. Looks like we've got somebody there. Oh yeah, you're an excavator that's broken. It's slowly making its way to the scrapyard. I mean, truthfully, how much would it cost me? Was it so expensive? Oh, I think I'll just get rid of him actually. He's probably causing more problems than he's solving. So the happiness crashed in this area, in the population, and that is the reason why. Again, if I come back to here, okay, I'm gonna do it every. You can see the food crash there. That food crash was completely concentrated. You can see it dropped down to 88%. And that's when I caught it. It was on a really serious downward spiral. I mean, these major cities were completely out of food. and of course the loyalty and productivity was crashing. That meant that I was actually producing less steel. So this is the reason why we're still recovering from the steel, because the happiness in the area was still very, very low. And of course it also affected our our fuel production. So you can say all our kind of key industries were suffering. Even the steel from Stilton was dropping. I don't know what the happiness is. Bearing in mind that, oh, this one's actually recovered a lot better. Although technically it's recovered a little better for a reason as I continue telling the story. But of course this had already taken damage from the fact that it had no cinema. So to kind of cut the long story short, when I finally picked up on it, first I had to do was untangle the mess here and get the trains running, which was a pain in the neck in itself, to be honest, because effectively I had trains queued up from about here going in here. So I probably had, and we had trains queued up going back that way. We had trains queued up back through here. This whole line all the way through here, all the way up to here, was basically solid trains stuck. So it took a little while to untangle that. But quite interestingly, the areas on which I said weren't affected were functioning normally. But this was still starting to have some effect on them, because of course they needed the electronics, and they also needed the electro components, because their trains that they were using to distribute their own food were still starting to get stuck as well. But of course this area up here was still functioning, because these are exclusively supplying food here, backwards and forwards into this area here. So what I did was to try and save the day is that this area now is supplying this area. So this area now is drawing its food and clothes from the top of the map. Stilton now is gone back to the old model where it's drawing food directly from this area, which is a little bit risky, but and it means that the only city or town, whatever you want to call it, drawing food from the central area is here. So this is the only one. You can see it's still got a few bits of problems, and it's still recovered. You can see the happiness here is 77%, but which means it's recovered. And that all happened early in 2013. So most of 2013 was spent trying to get everything back. And of course there was other consequences. If I show you here, if I go back, you can see that to get the steel level back up, I had to shut down some of my vehicle production over here as well. And that's the reason why we've still got the boat coming in at the top. So that's exactly what caused this disaster. And I must admit, at one point I was starting to think that it was game over, because the problem is, especially with large cities like this, you know, that as fast as the trains are delivering the food, in fact, you can see here again, the food is still not really built up, despite the fact that we've got trains coming in dropping off food. Because what happens is all the food drains out of here, you know, the shopping warehouses, so the food supply here never really catches up. I mean, truthfully, I could probably I think I might want to increase the food supply here, just give myself a little bit more insurance. I've got plastic. What have I got? 18 tons of plastic in here. You just deliver plastic? Yeah, okay. So that is the disaster, and I must admit I was getting a little bit worried and things weren't going very well at all. So let me just see if how are we doing here. So I think the decay here is still working very, very slowly. If you watch the map here, if I let it run, I'll see if it, yeah, you can see it ticks down, but it's only going down by 0.1 tons per probably every day, where I think this one's contaminated as well. And I think this one is contaminated. I think what I will do is we'll just remove these from here. And we'll run without these. I think what we need to do is just let these decay away. I mean, we've got the spare capacity at the moment, so it's not like, strangely, I think this is what Vimes was saying, is that these output sources aren't contaminated, so where that biological waste is coming from is a little bit of a mystery. Anyway, so that is the story of the disaster. Hopefully we will be able to get going. Now, my original plan was to populate this area in this part. To that end, I've been bringing in staff, but I need to make sure, and of course the other problem we've got is the how can I put it, none of these have got, does that mean they're not actually connected? Yeah, we've still got this footpath to build. Yeah, as I say, my original plan was to actually build these. Right. Oh yeah, I made a bit of a mistake here. I put a boom, what we call it, in front of that. Yeah, I think I still need to get these footpaths in, because how far? Okay, we can get water up to here. So really what I need to do is build that, get that built. Because we need to get that water supply done. How about you? Yeah, you can get there, it's just that you can't. It's this one, isn't it? So what we're going to need to do is put a cross footpath through here, but we need that built there. I think the rest of it, because there's no point at all doing that here. What we are using is geothermal heat so that we can get this done. So the town's not ready, but I was hoping that we would, but the way things are going, it's not as good as it should be. The rail connection is being pushed out here. As I say, out here I've kind of pulled back with the building in this area. So the idea is going to be is to get a working population in here. Right, we're now starting to get some over 21s. So we're back to 100 and so this is the real population, you could say, of this economy. It's just over 150,000. I could get these built. Let me just, if I can push up the priority on that. I don't think I've got all the yeah, we still need, I don't think, get that built. I think I just need to build this area here. Let me just do a check. I've gone for a really large school here. The average loyalty is back to 75%, so come in there. We got the police station there. That's the secret police. That's ready to go. We've even got fuel in here at the moment as well. We've got drinking water. I think I've already brought in supplies. Oh, the only thing we haven't brought in is meat. Okay, how can I supply meat to here? I think what we could do, are you bringing in meat? What I'm doing is that this seems to be the logical place to... Okay, yeah. Why are you... Okay, have you actually got anyone out picking up meat? Right, that's going... See, I think at the moment the rail line network is still fairly disturbed. I think what might be is the fact that we don't have many... Okay, that's not really going to work, is it? Let me just see. See, the meat supplies are still coming from the Central Reserve, but that's not so bad because they're still going to be using short trains. Let me just go here. You've got isothermic. Have you actually delivered the meat? Let me just check. Because of course I'm looking in the wrong place, aren't I? It's no, wrong side. Oh yeah, we have got meat. So we got meat, we got plastics, electronics. So we've got everything we need to go. I think I've got the setup because we're using gravel here. And we've got a truck here ready to unload gravel. The other thing I've been having a few problems with, and I'll be completely open to suggestions, is the actual auto replacement for this, because I've had a problem. It seems to persist in this area, with the buses not auto replacing, and when they get too old or they break down. But I can't quite work out what's actually causing it. It's the one area where the buses are aging out, but things. What have we got over here? 67%. I'm kind of starting to think that I need to reassess this. It says, I mean, this is meant to repair at 50%, but maybe this guy is automatically repair, wear and tear 67%. When was the last repair? Was 10 months, 14 days ago. I am wondering whether I should change this. In fact, I think I am gonna. This might cause a massive problem. I can drop that by 1% on that. I think trains were okay. Shipping aircraft is at 60%. Actually, that reminds me. Let me just check. Because I had some spare helicopters. I need some MI6 cargoes. 2, 3, 4. I need to make some of these. The reason for that is that we're going to need, I've built or it will be built, is probably the correct term, is up here, somewhere here, is a fire station with another 3 helipads. And what I did is I used up the surplus, or my spare helicopters up here. Oh, the other thing also I'm done. It's such a long list. It's a problem of playing on so far. What I've done now is that the tourist trains I was using up here started to break down. So what I did was, this is one of the reasons why my money hasn't really progressed that much at the moment, is I've now got 2 aircraft operating out of here, one bringing in tourists from the West and one bringing in Soviet Republic. And I haven't checked, but let's see. Yeah, I think it's keeping the numbers of tourists going. Let's just have a look at the economy. I haven't really looked at the economy. Last month, yeah, I mean, we made 13 million rubles last month. and 647. And you can see we lost. Why did we lose 148 million rubles last month? Anyway, so if we come in here, let's have a quick look at the economy. Go back, look at the economy. You can see here we're really making the money from tourism, and despite the fact that we got these massive expenses with respect to importing crops and all that. Now, of course, if I was going to be playing on, I'd be looking to give a more permanent fix to this. I think this guy's just gone off and brought some more steel in, and so he's going through the steel quite quickly. I don't know if I can. I think we can adjust the percentages, can't we? Is it? Oh, no, I don't think we can do it. Can we do it on here? Oh, maybe you can't do it with ships. I'm pretty sure that there's a way that you can specify a split load like this, but maybe you can't. I mean, if you know, anyone knows, feel free to chuck it in the comments. I think the game just decides on what it's going to bring in. I mean, strictly speaking, we probably don't need the electronics anymore. I think what I will do is remove the electronics from here now. Let's give it a go. And we'll make it 100% steel. I think that will work. So once this drops off this 400 tons of electronics, we'll import the steel, because this will work as long as it gets the steel. This area is going really, really well at the moment. And of course we're still importing chemicals as well. I think that's going to be there to the end of the game. This one might not be necessary. Our new town over here is working pretty well as well. Anyway, so we're going to come back to here. I really, really would like to populate this. See, if I could get some workers in here, we could speed up the process a little bit quicker. If I could get this built. The trouble is I'm a bit reluctant. Oh, why is that? I've got nobody assigned. Wait. I thought high priority. I need that line built through there. Actually, I think what I will do is just a little bit. Can I get a footpath through here? I think we're path to there. We'll get the 5 crew on that as well. High priority. I need to ensure that. Oh, that's a lot better. I think if we can get that built, I should have planned that, but kind of. Right. If I can get this built, there we are. It's all done. What I want now is we don't need that. Just need plain asphalt here. Get that built in there. 114. Okay, I'm just going to delete the messages. I'm just going to flip back and check our line here. Right, what you can see now is this is slowly dropping back to what it should be at normal times. You can see here that the trains are flowing through here. This is what it should look like. And when it's like this, it works. It's whenever you get an excess load, and that's why I'm saying that the responsibility for the food collapse was me by pushing the construction so hard to try and get that town built. Now that this is actually smoothed out, you can see it is working quite well in its own way, but it's the long distance trains that cause the problems. See, it's a delivery of meat coming through, and it looks very much, and of course now we're getting, hopefully we're getting regular supplies into here. Yeah, it's not 100% consistent. Oh, another thing I will mention is Bill Joe's just put in a pretty interesting video on waste collection. And I must admit, I didn't realise that this actually only picks up loads when things get to 80%. So we do need to kind of look a little bit like that. I think we're kind of getting to the point now on the 5th of December that we're actually going to miss the population point for this year. So I think I'll just give you a bit of an update. Now, my farming has become pretty stable. The only real problem we've got is the fact that the amount of food being consumed now is really, and even the clothes production now is draining out our crops. I don't know about clothes production, actually, I haven't checked it. Yeah, you can see here, you can see the clothes. Now that does have potential consequences for this area. I just want to make sure, where are you getting your clothes from? Right, these guys are insulated because they're getting their clothes from here. How about Clotherton? See, this is where things sneak up on you if you're not careful. Yeah, I think these guys are... Do we have surplus clothes in here? See, this guy is moving the clothes to the pickup. I think I need more workers in here to keep everything going a little bit faster. I need to check something because I don't want to drain all the... What's this? Are you collecting... Let me just check. Yeah, I think what we're going to do is we're going to push you to 20%. Actually, we're going to push you to 30%. The reason for that is that I'm now exporting clothes. Therefore, this warehouse, yeah, this warehouse got 651 tons on it. And if I actually show you the economy exports last month, yeah, I think what we're going to do is suspend those exports from here. We were exporting them, so I think the clothes situation is coming. Of course, I could bring down clothes from up here because we probably got a surplus in here. See, we got loads of clothes here, but the problem is you're picking up clothes, but I think you are doing direct exports, aren't you? You're picking when the clothes is there. No, you're actually taking them to the central warehouse. I think I'll leave that as that, but that does add a risk to this area. But I think it's a relatively small risk. So yeah, we are sending but of course we are now pulling more clothes for our areas here because of the changes due to the disaster. Let me just go here. I'm just going to one more recap on this area, but I think we're way too late in the year, and I mean, we've got 1,415 over 21s, but I don't think it's enough to populate this town here. So and I'd rather build in this infrastructure first. And to be honest, I would like I mean, we don't have that far to go, and this would be our last rail construction project, unless I can think of a way to fix this area here. Although, to be honest, I can't really think of a way here, except for maybe ripping it all down and rebuilding it, which is certainly not something I want to do at the moment. What have we got here? It's these long trains. See, again, just to finish the video up, I see these long. See, I think part of the problem is I keep adding. I added kind of sub signals here to try and push the small trains through. But when a long train comes in, like there, you can see it's spanning 2 gaps. And then what that does is it then pushes back through across the area. Anyway, this is where I'm going to leave it. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Hope you found it interesting. What I'm going to do is play on through into 2015 and just to be able to get to the point where we can get this town populated. And then that would be quite a major step forward. And then all we've got to do then really is see if we can get this industry up and running. So this is where I'm going to leave it. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Hope you found it interesting. And until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.